So what do you think to someone like myself, and to just anyone who wants to get involved, who wants to raise a hand, who wants to go out and support? What are things that people could do to raise, not just raise awareness, that's almost become a cliche at this point, but to actually do something worthwhile and show support, give support to minorities and to the LGBT community, to those individuals in the MENA region, to the individuals in North America who are living in an almost a parallel world,
Yeah.
and to say, yes, you're not alone. I hear you, I see you, I know, we're here for you. We understand where you're coming from.
That's it. You just identified it right there. I mean, that's what it is. The open-minded, free-thinking, progressive people in those societies are just absolutely, starved for support. Absolutely starved. So when I started the hashtag Free From Hijab, I never in a million years imagined it would blow up the way it did. Within the first month, there was no way I could keep up with all of the posts. It's like for the first time, it's like this pressure cooker was building, and a valve was turned, and they just came rushing out. Now, I knew my experience. I knew that I was forced to wear it. I knew I hated wearing it. I knew I pretended I liked wearing it because I had to wear it anyway. So you might as well, Stockholm syndrome it, basically, to make your life a bit easier. I knew that was my experience, and I suspected there were other people out there maybe that were feeling the same way I was feeling, other women that had my experience. But man, the tsunami of responses. Now, when those women share their thoughts, their ideas, their perspectives within their friend groups or within their families, I mean, first of all, they wouldn't dare, because it would be very dangerous. But if they did, they would pay greatly for it. They would be vilified for it. Lots of horror stories. So when they start up their anonymous accounts and they go online and they start sharing these things, it is so validating. It's validating to the point of it being life-saving, to just have somebody else, even if it's a complete stranger on the other side of the world, using another anonymous account, but just to have another voice saying, I see you, I hear you, I celebrate you, I understand what you're saying, I agree with you. I mean, you almost start to feel like you're going crazy. Faisal Al-Mutad, who has an organization called Ideas Beyond Borders,
yes,
wonderful man from Iraq, he described it as, when he was living in Iraq, he said, being an atheist in a Muslim country is like being in a car with a drunk driver. Like you just, it's so erratic. It is so terrifying, and you're not in control. And it's like that for so many people all around the world. And you do start to feel like you're going crazy because everybody else is swimming in this direction. It's like this school of fish where everybody is moving together in unison. And you're the only one going, hang on a minute. Why are we going in this direction?
Yeah.
And so you feel weird. You feel out of place. You feel like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just get in line? And so it is lonely. It is so debilitatingly lonely. And so it really does help a lot to just have support of people from the Western world. I mean, it would mean, of course, so much more if they had actual support, like at a political level, like if the LGBT groups here that love to put rainbows on every packaging, on every box of cereal, and in every, chocolate bar, that's fantastic. It's window dressing. It doesn't do anything. You have changed your packaging. care about the LGBT community, for example, if they were to actually pay attention that there are 15 countries on this planet that will execute you for being gay, do something about that. You know, raise awareness about that. Talk about how that's something that needs to be changed. Help those groups because they are tiny, they are powerless, they are frightened. I mean, I get just the other day, I got a message from a trans woman in Kuwait who was imprisoned because it's against the law for her to be trans. You know, like this is 2021, and all for the whole month we're talking about LGBT equality, LGBT rights, et cetera, but like we never touch on this huge issue. So when I say they're looking for support, obviously it would be nice if they got massive support from organizations that actually are supposed to be supporting them. Same with feminist groups, same with like women's groups. Like it would be wonderful if women's groups actually cared about these women that are risking their lives to not wear a cloth on their head, for example, you know, but they're not getting top-down support. They're not getting the Michelle Obamas. They're not getting the Gloria Steinems. They're not, you know, the gay community is not getting Ellen DeGeneres. Like none of these people with power are actually doing anything. So it really just leaves it to us as the grassroots, bottom-up people, or to just reach out and do what we can to lend a hand and say, you know, I hear you, I see you.
Right.
And as far as the, you know, it's a good segue into your first question about what is the project that I'm working on now. The project that I'm working on now is a book called Forgotten Feminists. Right. And it's going to be, I'm going to be compiling stories from different women from around the world who have overcome. And it is to inspire other women who are feeling like, yeah, but I can't do this because this is my situation. Yeah, but because it's hard, you know, it's hard to, you see your situation as impossible, but hopefully there will be a story in there. There will be a quote in there. There will be somebody in the book that they can relate to enough that it will just get a spark going where they start to think, you know what, maybe I can.
Absolutely.
So it's hopefully it'll be inspiring for other women to find their freedom. And it's also to educate people in the West that we are suffering. We are suffering under these totalitarian, authoritarian, misogynist. I mean, you talk about patriarchy over here. I mean, you know what I mean? It does not compare to the patriarchal societies and the patriarchal religion and theocracies.
Guardianship.
Oh my gosh!
To me, that
completely other level.
It's the meaning.
Talking about women can't ride a bicycle. Yeah. If you ride a bicycle, you're gonna go to prison. I tweeted about in Saudi Arabia how the law that that now women are allowed to live alone in Saudi Arabia legally. But of course, if their father doesn't allow them, because she's still a guardian, she's still under guardianship. Right. So if the father doesn't allow it, or the brother, or whoever the guardian is, doesn't allow it, then she can't. And 99.9% of the time, they won't allow it because it's a very tribal, honor-based society where having a woman from your family living alone is, you know, embarrassing. And so they won't allow it. But the government, by releasing that, it's kind of like able to, it's window dressings in the same way that these companies are all putting rainbows on their packaging. It's a way to say, oh, look, we're progressive. We're not forcing women to live at home anymore, when they know full well that as long as the guardianship law is still in place, it's meaningless. Exactly. This law is meaningless. But anyway, I've gone off on a tangent. So this book is to also educate the Western world that women are suffering under their burqas. You know, they don't want to wear this in Afghanistan or in Saudi Arabia. No human being would be happy covered head to toe in black, especially in 40-degree desert heat, where everything is stifled. All of their senses are stifled. You know, they're essentially in a body bag while they're still breathing. It is not empowering. It is not feminist. It is not a choice. And I shouldn't need to explain this. I shouldn't need to try to convince people that water is wet. It should be perfectly obvious to anybody who sees that kind of dehumanization of another human being. You should recognize it immediately as something vicious and cruel.
Yes. A good parallel there could be in a former conversation I had with a former member of CSIS, the Canadian Intelligence Organization, where we said, you know, how do you define, we're talking about linguistics and terrorism. We said, how do you define terrorism? Well, I don't need to describe it. I just need to see it. I know it when I see it. And you know an injustice when you see it. You know something that's, you know, a negation of human rights, a negation of individual freedoms, a negation of choice when you see it.
And then that, you know, that Orwellian play on words where they say, oh no, it's feminist and it's empowering. You know, war is peace, slavery is freedom.
Precisely.